blowing from the Atlantic Ocean of southwest Africa have created a desolate region known as the Namib Desert. Forming only a small part of the vast and productive country in the interior, its windswept shoreline has become a grim legend, earning for itself the name of Skeleton Coast. Centuries ago, the great navigators from Portugal, the Netherlands, France and England, who were establishing the sea route to the east, discovered but hurried past this inhospitable shore. Today, descendants of those pioneering nations sail north from the verdant Cape of Good Hope in the early winter of every year to fish off this barren coast, which now provides South Africa with one of its richest harvests. Men like Sir Ewart van Urk, a former Hollander who once braved the wintry waters of the North Sea. Wheelman Jimmy Willis, an English-speaking South African. Ernie Bernadelle, a university graduate who has made fishing his career. Neville Teixeira, whose very name recalls his Portuguese ancestry. Fred van Urk, the skipper's son, who will one day take over the boat. Henny Papers and Colin van Schalkwyk, Afrikaans-speaking men with farming experience who have taken to the sea. Men with various backgrounds, thrown together for a season of hard work, in which they will deliver their share of the 650,000 tons of protein-rich seafoods harvested annually from South African waters. The base of operations for the fishermen of Skeleton Coast is Walvis Bay, a whaling station in days gone by, now the main harbor of southwest Africa. Years ago, this was a small and somewhat forgotten port. Then came the dramatic change, when from the sea, tons of pilchards, and from across the barren dunes, mineral ores and pastoral products were brought to be shipped to the markets of the world. Before the opening of the controlled fishing season, which commences in February of each year, the rugged little village with its mile-long main street is almost as inactive as the silent factories dotted along the shore. Now the fishermen meticulously prepare their boats and equipment for the hard months ahead. A fully equipped pilchard boat costs about £20,000. For many months to come, it'll serve as the only home, as well as the workshop, of its skipper-owner and his crew of 9 men. Special attention is given to the precious nylon net, their most important item of equipment. Worth £2,000, it lasts no longer than 2 seasons. Soon the factory will be operating at full pressure, and it too must be brought up to 100% working efficiency. And then these hardy men of the sea congregate in their unique manner to pay homage and to ask for divine blessing. When the 88 pilchard boats which operate from here are in complete readiness, their crews relax, awaiting the first day of the season. With the arrival of the administration research vessel, the time of waiting nears its end. Experts on this boat are mainly occupied with the determination of spawning grounds and the setting of quotas, for strict scientific control is necessary to ensure the permanence of shoals off these shores. For the fishermen, they have good news. The pilchards are running well, and a good season appears to lie ahead. Dawn on the first day of the new season finds the men on their way to the fishing grounds. From now, every possible moment will be used to gather in the quota. Out on the fishing grounds, skippers of the 45-ton boats have to use their own skill and experience to decide where they will shoot their nets. Skipper Van Urk scans the surface of the sea for any small sign which will indicate the presence of a shoal. Often, pilchards can be found close to the shore, or they may be several hours out to sea. Birds are always a sure sign of fish. These birds, incidentally, regularly grab from the sea as much as is allowed to all fishermen in South African waters. It is up to the skipper to determine when and where to shoot his net. Satisfied that they are directly above a shoal, he gives the order that sends every man aboard into action. The dinghy man anchors one end of the net, while the mothership describes a circle around the shoal. Unless great care is taken, it is possible that the expensive net will be lost through being dragged down by the weight of the concentrated catch. The nylon circle meets, and the net is joined and closed at the bottom, much like drawing in a purse string. Hauling in the net is a back-breaking job, weighed down as it is by anything from 40 to 100 tons of fish. When the catch has been drawn in close to the boat, it is scooped out and deposited in the hold. 7 scoops make up a ton. The entire quota for all pilchard boats in South African waters for the season is 500,000 tons. So the waters yield their flashing winter harvest against the unrelenting background of Skeleton Coast. Many times the catch is so abundant that the deck has to be used after the hold has been filled. With the first catches in the harbour, the factories come to life. At the factory jetty, suction hoses, aided by water as a lubricant, clear the pilchards off the boats and deposit them on the first belts of the production lines. From here, the products of the factories will be dispatched to many lands, an export trade that has placed South Africa among the first 10 fishing countries of the world. The fishermen of Skeleton Coast have a way of life all their own. During their stay at Walvis Bay, most of them live and sleep on their boats. Primarily designed as a compact fishing unit, these floating homes don't make for much comfort. harvest of Skeleton Coast is never easy to gather. The Atlantic is notoriously unpredictable, and heavy seas often rise within a matter of minutes. And then the little ships are forced to battle back to harbour with empty holds. During the greater part of the fishing season, the plankton on which pilchards feed come to the surface at night only. So, at sunset, the boats cast off and head for the open sea, where they'll meet the shoals as they rise to sea level to feed. Now, there are no birds to indicate the presence of a shoal. And here, the value of a good skipper becomes immeasurable, as his keen eyes search for the telltale phosphorescent glow caused by the movement of millions of fish, which is his only clue at night. At the end of the night's work, with a full catch aboard, the little vessel makes its way homeward through the early morning blanket of fog that settles around the harbour for much of the season. These men are not trained navigators, and only long years of experience aid the skippers in getting their boats and crews home safely. When the moon is full, for about a week of every month, plankton does not come to the surface, as it is held by light and moves down to the sea bed. Consequently, no fishing is possible. The men have an enforced layoff of 1 in every 4 weeks. Many go into town to relax in time-honoured seafaring manner. To get back to sea, but somehow they find throughout the season, the factories are fed by the little ships, each scoop bringing them nearer to the set limit. After the quota has been filled, there is a sudden end to all this activity. The factory dies again, goes into hibernation for the scorching summer months. Flags go up to signify the end of another season. Their work done, the visiting fishermen leave their barren winter harvest land by way of the ever-fertile sea. They will spend the coming months at their home ports in the south, but they will be back next year. Lured by the rewards of their work, and by the irresistible call of the sea, they will return for many years to come to gather the rich harvest of Skeleton Coast.